Welcome back. It is Sunday in the NFL. We got 4 picks on the way for Week 16 NFL slate. Now, there are some games on Saturday. I already posted a video covering those, but I don't really know how those went because those haven't happened yet while I post this video. But let's dive in 4 picks for Sunday. I really like what we got cooked up for you guys. Hopefully, you are having a happy holiday season, spending time with your family and friends. We'll have a Monday's edition because we have 3 games on Monday as well for Christmas Day games. So stay tuned for those videos we posted on Sunday. We actually have another video going live later on tonight, Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Will be our parlays video. You guys love it. We hit a couple in a row that we had like really close to the last few weeks. I think we're going to break through in the holiday spirit, the giving spirit. So definitely check out that video post at 5 p.m. Eastern time with 2 parlays we love for Sunday's NFL slate. We'll kind of do the same thing for Christmas Day. That was, like I said, those videos will be live on Sunday. But let's dive into the picks though today. Sleeper still has their $500 deposit match, and right now they have a free square for new users for Russell Wilson on Sunday Night Football to get 1 yard. He's certainly going to get that done. So if you are new to Sleeper, like I said, 100 matching your first deposit up to $500. Great offer right now, and you'll also get that free square. They have a bunch of different free squares they're doing for not only NBA on Christmas Day, but they have like 3 free squares for Christmas Day's NFL games. So definitely take advantage of that. But let's dive into the picks of the day. That's what you guys came here for. We got 2 straight bets. We got one that's pretty easy to take as a straight bet, and then one 4-leg same game parlay we'll talk about at the end of the video. As always, we'll recap how we did on Saturday, on Sunday, and then probably on Monday, probably next week. But let's dive into the first one. Chuba Hubbard, I like his over 16.5 rushing attempts, minus 115 on BetMGM. Now, there are going to be some people that will be on Chuba Hubbard's over in rush yards, and I think that's a pretty solid bet. Obviously, if we think he gets 17 rush attempts, probably a good chance he gets over 70.5 rushing yards, but I prefer just the rushing attempts here. And if you remember this pick, we took it last week. We took it at 15.5. We also sprinkled on him to get 20 rush attempts at plus 400, and he cashed out for us. Now, I was considering doing the same thing this week, although 20 plus rush attempts only plus 200. So I'm just not going to force it there. But why do we like Chuba Hubbard once again to continue to go over his rush attempts line? Well, since Frank Reich was fired, obviously the Panthers head coach at that time, he's been fired, and they've been leaning on the run even more. You've seen Hubbard 25, 23, and 22 rushing attempts in these last 3 games. Panthers lost one of those games by 22 in week 14. He still saw 23 rushing attempts. So clearly in a negative game script, they don't really care. They'll still continue to run the football because that's what they think they'll have the most success doing. And I think they're going to continue to do that. They're back at home. I think they can be competitive in this game versus the Packers. At the end of the day, I like Chuba Hubbard once again to see a big workload. Now, you look at Miles Sanders, his backup, you could argue, hey, he'll probably get some looks, and he will, but last week, 6 carries for a big 2 yards. He did nothing last week, so I can't say, hey, I can't believe they'll be like, we should probably give him some more touches. No, when you go 6 carries for 2 yards, probably not going to get a lot of work the next week. But you see this matchup against the Packers, a team that allows the 4th most rushing attempts in the NFL, give up a lot of rushing yards too. In the last 4 games, we've seen running backs have 26, 20, 22, and 24 rushing attempts combined against this team. Now, obviously, if we see the Panthers get close to the 25-ish mark, I'd be willing to bet that Hubbard has at least 17, 18 of those attempts if this line does go up to 17.5. But I really like him. He's the workhorse back for this backfield. You don't get a lot of those in the NFL this day and age, but Chuba Hubbard's been running hard, running really efficiently the last few weeks. I like his over 16.5 rushing attempts. My first pick of Sunday's NFL slate. Now, my second pick, going to go to arguably the biggest game of the slate. We have the Cowboys taking on the Dolphins, and I am taking Jake Ferguson of the Dallas Cowboys over 43.5 receiving yards, minus 114 on FanDuel. Now, this line could be pretty sharp. We'll talk about him in a second. Did end on 44 yards last week, but I do like it up to 47.5. I think there's a good chance he gets above 50, and heck, he could even go to 60 or 70. Now, a big part of this Dolphins defense, which has played pretty well over the past few weeks, it's been because they've gotten healthy. They got Xavier Howard, who is questionable for this game. They also have Jalen Ramsey, though. Both those, 2 elite cornerbacks on the outside. So really tough matchup for wide receivers. Now, obviously, CeeDee Lamb's still going to get his. He'll still do his thing, but I don't think, we're going to see a CeeDee Lamb 150 yards. He's dominating the targets, and I don't see big days coming for Brandon Cooks or Gallup or any of the other wide receivers. I think you're going to see a lot of targets in the flats or in the short zones to guys like Jake Ferguson, and I really like Ferguson in this matchup. He's arguably the second most reliable option on this offense. Now, in the last 3 weeks, Ferguson, like I said, super reliable, 77, 72, and 44 receiving yards on 6, 5, and 6 receptions, 8 targets in each game. I consider taking his receptions over. I think that's probably a pretty solid look, but I just think he's going to continue to see targets coming his way, and I think this is a decent matchup for him to do his thing. And I don't necessarily, it's not the best matchup in the world. Like the Dolphins don't give the most receiving yards to tight ends, but they're really good against the wide receivers, which is where I see a little bit of trickle-down effect coming to Jake Ferguson. And we've seen, since October 6th, 6 tight ends have 5 or or more targets versus the Dolphins, here's how those guys did. You had Darren Waller, 86 yards. Dallas Goedert, 77. Michael Mayer, he had 46. Tyler Conklin, 33. Chiggy Okonkwo of the Titans, 46. And then Tyler Conklin again last week with 18. Now, obviously, you see majority of these guys did go over, and I'd argue, Tyler Conklin, not his fault. He's on the Jets. The Jets offense stinks. But I think at the end of the day, this is the Dallas Cowboys offense that just got off a beat down. They really did not do well offensively, any aspect. They get just stomped by the Bills. And I think this is just a matchup where Dak Prescott, finally plays a little bit better down in Miami. I wish they were at home, but still in Miami, still, no real weather concerns here. I really think that he'll have his opportunities in Jake Ferguson, and he's been really good for him over the past few weeks. I think that continues in this game. Obviously, the line could be sharp, so try to get 43.5 if you can on FanDuel, but I really do think Jake Ferguson is in for probably a 50-plus yard receiving day. I don't see them having a ton of success on the ground either, and we know the Cowboys, they're quick to abandon the run. If it's not going well, they will abandon it. And I just don't see Tony Pollard having a huge day against Miami, who's also done a really good job at stopping the run. So you're seeing them stopping the run and limiting wide receiver yards. Probably going to have to see some Jake Ferguson on Sunday. Give me his over 43.5 receiving yards. Now, my third play is a New York Jet. I just kind of trashed the Jets with Tyler Conklin. Today, we're talking all about Garrett Wilson. It's a two-leg same-game parlay. Let's talk with him. We're taking Garrett Wilson over 4.5 receptions, aka 5+ receptions, and Garrett Wilson 50+ receiving yards at plus 110 on Bet365. Now, if your value is not close to this, I'd probably lean towards just taking Garrett Wilson's regular over in receiving yards. I like the receptions more, but the receptions 4.5 is like minus 160. There's really no value taking that unless you want to use it as a parlay piece like I am doing here. But I really do think that Garrett Wilson is in for a very good matchup on Sunday at home, taking on the Commanders. Now, obviously the season, I'm sure Garrett Wilson and a lot of Jets fans, including myself, had a lot of high hopes for their season. And obviously Aaron Rodgers' injury has derailed the whole year. But in 14 games this season, still not lost season for Garrett Wilson. He has 5 receptions in 9 of 14, 50 receiving yards in 9 of 14. And the same game parlays cashed actually in only 6 of 14 games. So he's had some games where he gets 5 receptions, but not a lot of yards. And last week, he just didn't either. 3 receptions for 29 yards. Now, Wilson this season, yet to go back-to-back games with 5 or more with less than 5 receptions. So normally, like any number one wide receiver, Garrett Wilson, really good number one wideout for the Jets. When you have a bad game, and you let's say Terry McLaurin, for example, he had 0 receptions one week. They said, we got to fix that. And he got whatever last week, 6, 7, whatever amount. That's the same thing for a guy like Garrett Wilson. They're going to find ways to get the ball in his hands because he's honestly the most dynamic player that the Jets have on offense. And this is the perfect matchup against the Commanders. If it could be any perfecter, I don't know if that's possible. It's like an A++ matchup. We've seen this season, wide receivers have absolutely cooked this Commanders secondary, and Commanders, honestly, their defense is not good. But this season, 16 wide receivers have 5 or more receptions against the Commanders. All 16 of them have 50+ receiving yards last week. Saw Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua both get this line. And I just think the Commanders cannot defend any wide receiver. Truth of the matter, they cannot defend any wide receiver. I will live with this. I know Trevor Siemian sucks. I know I've watched him play, not good, but he is an NFL QB, and it does not take a lot of skill when they're playing one-on-one coverage against a guy like Garrett Wilson. That's hike, let him do his route, throw it to him. It's not that hard. They can't defend anyone. And I think Garrett Wilson at plus 110 to get 5 receptions and 50 yards. I will take that any day of the week against the Commanders. Pretty confident he gets over his 61.5 yards line. But at the end of the day, Garrett Wilson, he's the really only wide receiver the Jets have that is a little bit threatening. I think they're going to use him in a big way. Give me Garrett Wilson for 5 receptions and 50 yards. A little 2-leg same game parlay for plus 110 on Bet365. Now, my fourth play will be my final play of Sunday. We'll obviously have some more picks on Monday. It will be a 4-leg same game parlay, and I got to go to my Lions game because we always love the Lions same game parlay. But let's talk about this one. 4 fellas, 2 on each team. Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Lions, 50+ receiving yards. Jahmyr Gibbs of the Lions, 25+ rushing yards. Justin Jefferson of the Vikings, 50+ receiving yards. And TJ Hockenson, 25+ receiving yards. Now, I'm not going to go off this screen. We're just going to talk about each of the legs, talk about why I like this. And if you are an OG or you've been watching just for the past few weeks, we've been on the Lions same game parlays, just cleaning up on the books. And normally we're taking David Montgomery 50+ rushing yards and Gibbs 25+. But I don't like the matchup at all for David Montgomery. This is a Vikings defense really, really good at stopping the run, especially up the middle. Now you could be like, Austin, why are we including Gibbs for 25 if you think it's a tough matchup? talk about that a little bit more in a second. But first, we got to start with the first leg. Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is a guy that's really consistent, 50 receiving yards in 11 of 13 games this season. And you've seen him 65 plus in all 4 career games versus the Vikings. I am not worried about Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like I said, tough matchup to run against. They're going to use him in the passing game. He's the most reliable weapon. Now, Gibbs, the next guy, 25 rushing yards in 10 straight. I like actually Gibbs a little bit more than Montgomery because how they use Gibbs, they run him still through the tackles, but they also do like to do a lot of jet sweeps and little pitch plays. And I think that's where you can attack and run against the Vikings. I don't think you're getting a lot of success right up the middle, which is basically all David Montgomery does. I think you're going to see a lot more success on the edge. And obviously, 25 rushing yards. I'm pretty sure Gibbs could get that in one play, but I think he'll have, 8 to 10 opportunities. And he can get that done. And if they're trailing, he'll be in, but he'll still get some rushing attempts in those, when they're trailing, if that is the case. Now, let's move to the Viking side of the ball. Justin Jefferson, obviously back healthy. He had 84 yards last week with Nick Mullins, and Nick Mullins back under center. And this is just a matchup Justin Jefferson has feasted his last 5 games versus the Lions. Look at these numbers: 133, 124, 182, 14, and 223 receiving yards in his last 5 versus the Lions. I mean, it's Justin Jefferson. I don't care who's throwing the ball to him. I'm confident Nick Mullins can get it done. He had 10 targets last week. Jordan Addison had over 100 yards. I'll take my chances at Justin Jefferson getting this 50 plus when his line's like 85. And then lastly, TJ Hockenson to take us home. 25 receiving yards and 13 of 14. Lone miss was 24 yards. This is a matchup against the Lions, who really have struggled against tight ends this season. Also a revenge game. So wrap it up. All these 4 guys to do their jobs. Plus 120 on FanDuel. I really like it. If you want to throw in some reception, alt legs and stuff in there, I think that's fine too. But I really like all these 4 fellas. I like their matchups. I think we got a good chance of cashing that one for plus 120 and continue to clean up on the books. 2 Lions, 2 Vikings. That's plus 120, a 4-leg same game parlay. Those are my favorite picks of the day. I will have some picks for Christmas Day, but as always, hopefully you guys are spending some time with your family and friends, and hopefully you're having a happy holidays, and hopefully we can bring out a broom for a little Christmas gift under the tree. I don't know what the heck we're doing, but either way, if you want to sign up for Sleeper, that video is live, or not video live. Sleeper, you can sign up using our code COS. That will match your deposit up to $500, and they'll give you that free square for Russell Wilson on Sunday. You have some free squares for Monday as well, and also there will be our NFL parlays video posted at 5 p.m. on Saturday. Stay tuned for that. We're cooking one of those parlays and we're cashing for Sunday's NFL slate. You guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys live for Monday's NFL. We'll have some NFL picks live on Sunday, and you guys know if you just hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. Austin signing out. See you in the next one. Peace.